Hello, everyone. Hello, everybody. This is Sharonda, and this is my podcast as well as my YouTube channel, Spiritual Sense. Today is actually Friday the 13th, and that is going to be the topic that I'm going to speak on today. Is Friday the 13th. So, in this podcast as well as this YouTube channel, I go over topics in regards to paranormal, occult, supernatural. I speak on things such as hauntings, curses, out of body experiences, soul travel, near death experiences, reincarnation, nirvana, spiritual apathy, spiritual transcendence, spiritual transition, spiritual evocation. I also discuss pagan belief systems and practices such as Wiccan, witchcraft, Santeria, Yoruba, Hoodoo, Voodoo, Black and White Magic, Scientology, New Age, Atheism. I'd like to start off by saying that this podcast as well as this YouTube channel is for entertainment purposes. It's not a biblical nor a religious podcast, although I may bring up the biblical text from time to time. It's not a biblical nor a religious podcast, okay? So, again, today being Friday the 13th, that is what the topic is on today, Friday the 13th. Now, Friday the 13th is a date and representation of bad luck or karma. Karma. Do you believe in bad luck? Do you believe in karma? So we're going to dive into that for today. So I am on. Let me first. I got a couple websites open here. You know, my all websites. I like to go on Wikipedia. Has a lot of extensive information. I've been told that Wikipedia is not a favorable source of information. If you really look at it, nothing really truly is a favorable source of information, to tell you the truth. I mean, we can say something is official or something is right, but how do we know? By what circumstances and by who deeming it to be right? Rightfully so. So Friday the 13th is what it mentions is considered an unlucky day in Western superstition. It occurs when the 13th day of the month in the Gregorian calendar falls on a Friday, which happens at least once every year, but can occur up to 3 times in the same year. So in 2005, it said Friday the 13th was in February, March, November. In 2017 through the 20th, there was 2 Friday the 13th. 2016, 21, 22 has just 1 occurrence. So in 23 and 24, there are 2 Friday the 13th. So before I proceed, let me bring up some information. And this is, I'm being pulled because like I said, oftentimes I get guided by spirits. So, you know, earlier I was watching me and the children, you know, for their science lesson for today. We was watching about Galileo Galilei, you know, the one that used the telescope to look at astrology and things of that sort and this, that, and the other. And so, in essence, he was put in jail by the Romans because of something that he discovered in terms of astrology. And it became apparent to me that this was God by way of, like, God has the ability to fall down and he takes on impressions in human form to make things significant to us. And once you have gained that insight, then you'll begin to understand what that is. So in essence, in reading this, when you are able to keep up and keep account of certain things, it will bring about bad luck and bad karma. So in other words, if a person, and this is normal, like say for instance, if a person has done some things in his or her past that were very unfavorable, and they have had a hard time coming to terms or coming to grips with that. Oftentimes, just simply because you are there and you are aware of their transgressions or the things that they have done in their past, or them coming from beginnings that are not favorable to make them feel some type of way, negative feelings, oftentimes they will target you and try to put you away or put you out of a situation. So that in turn, when I listened to the Galileo Galilei webinar with me and my children on YouTube today, it became apparent to me that that's God's way of conveying that to us. That when you begin to try to discover things, when you begin to want to know certain things, a lot of times people will get what? Afraid. They will become afraid, particularly when they're not, when they don't feel right or comfortable about the things that they're doing. So this Friday the 13th as such as that is what it just revealed to me. It says the unluckiness of 13, according to folklore historian Donald Dawsey, the unlucky nature of the number 13 originated with a Norse myth about 12 gods having a dinner party in Valhalla. The trickster god Loki, who was not invited, arrived as the 13th guest. Now guess who that is? Just told you. The range of Ayu to shoot Badr with a mistletoe-tipped arrow. Dasi, Badr, died, and the whole earth got dark. The whole earth mourned. It was a bad, unlucky day. The major event in Norse mythology caused the number 13 to be considered unlucky. So, what do we associate 12 with? Well, oftentimes, and it does have the picture here of the Last Supper with Leonardo da Vinci, where the 12 disciples, and then you got what? Well, who is that 13th person? So, as I mentioned, that 13th person will happen in every sense of the matter. If you sit back and watch, God gonna put them in part, in soothe, in emotion that's apart from their own, voluntarily, and you would know this happens even in this life experience, even in the now. And you will begin to see it. Defies logic, but defies reasoning, understanding. You would just know. It's nothing no one has to say to you. You would just know. Christian associations. The superstition seems to relate to various things like the story of Jesus, Last Supper, and the crucifixion, in which there were 13 individuals present in the upper room on the 13th of Nisan, Monday, Thursday, the night before his death on Good Friday. In conjunction with Friday, where there is evidence of both Friday and the number 13 being considered unlucky, there is no record of the two items being referred to as especially unlucky in conjunction before the 19th century. So it mentions in the 19th century in France, Friday the 13th had been associated with misfortune as early as the first half of the 19th century. A character in the 1834 play Les Planètes de Glebelise states, I was born on a Friday, December the 13th, 1813, from which come all of my misfortunes. An early documented reference in English occurs in H.S. Edwards' biography, Gioacchino Rossini, who died on a Friday the 13th. So it goes on to mention about Rossini was surrounded to the last by admiring friends, and if it be true that, like so many Italians, he regarded Fridays as an unlucky day and 13th as an unlucky number. It is remarkable that on Friday the 13th of November he passed away. So I do feel as though God does speak to us in such a way to give us understanding apart from they actually have it down here to a science in terms of rates of accidents in regards to Friday the 13th, things that occur at certain times. Has mentioned here there's a 400-year Gregorian solar cycle in regards to that. So I'm not going to go into all of this because this is I do feel like there's some frequency in this. I do. And, you know, if you go in depth, I'm not going to go too much in depth to it because I do feel as though a lot of this information goes without saying. Like it's something being said without coming flat out and saying it. And so, yeah, you would kind of like get an inclination. And that's how God alerts us on things is by way of. So he would use certain individuals to make things apparent. And so you don't necessarily have to, I mean, you could be, you know, you still have people out here that are curious about certain things, and that's them. But you got certain people where from afar they can see, okay, there's, you know, danger at the end of the road, it's fire, and not go towards it. So, but in essence, without being facetious, I'm just using that as an analogy. So I'm on this website, it says Friday the 13th, and 6 other superstitions we still believe in. So, do you believe in things such as this? Do you believe in bad luck, karma? I honestly feel as though it essentially, whatever you want to refer to it as, you may not want to refer to it as karma. You may say curse or bad luck or bad energy, whatever you choose to associate that with. I mean, hey, it's all one and the same, essentially. Now, typically, you know, I'm a homebody type of person. I am. And, you know, I try to eliminate unnecessary travels at certain times of the day. And I think in essence, it work on a bigger scale, particularly in certain times of the year, certain seasons. You know, so this basically God giving you synopsis about certain things. So, Friday the 13th being one of those days. You know, try to stay away from being going out. You know, because when things have been presented to you and you have had a lot of energy to gravitate to you that has been very unfavorable and negative. You know, certain times, you know, I try to minimize my travel as much as possible. It did put in my spirit a couple of years ago, be careful around the date of birth. That's what it mentioned. Your date of birth. 2 weeks prior to, 2 weeks after. You want to be very, very mindful. Now, that's what it mentioned to me. Okay? Many people may laugh at that and think that to be funny. You can laugh and think of it how you want to damn laugh and think of it. Okay? So, it mentions about while the date isn't unluckier than any other, the superstition lingers with millions both wary and fearful of the ominous calendar date. So, because I am considered a psychic, gypsy, intuitive, I like to refer to myself as spiritualist because I take notes of certain things. You will begin to see how a lot of spirits will come in at certain times of the day. And as I'm speaking to you, I'm getting off course right now, so I'm being pulled. Restoration is coming for somebody out here. Let me put my camera back on. Restoration is coming for somebody who is dealing with a hard situation right now because I'm being restored in my heart. So it says I need to convey this out. Restoration is coming to you. 7 days. In 7 days you will be restored. In 7 days you will be restored. So whoever is listening or maybe viewing it, because I'm not doing this live, restoration is on the way. and you want to take note of my podcast, Holistic Health, in regards to balancing your heart chakra, where restoration will come to you in 7 days. Okay? Now let me go back to where I was at, because I can feel it in my heart, and it was led for me to stop and speak about that. Okay, so getting back to what I was saying, you will begin to take note of certain behaviors and energies and spirits that gravitate during certain times of the day, season, places and stuff. You will begin to take note of that. It says whether you believe in the unluckiness of the date or not, it is far from the only widely held superstition found today, as people all over the world still allows beliefs that originated thousands of years ago to dictate their behaviors, habits, and fears, from avoiding any path that takes one under a ladder to throwing salt over one's shoulder to ensure bad luck is reversed. These are some of the most common superstitions and their origins. So the throwing of the salt over the shoulder, it mentions to me is something in regards to salt and the crown chakra. What did I mention the crown chakra does? Well, it has a lot to do with thought. So restoration is coming to you because of sodium imbalance, which has a lot to do with your thoughts. That's what it mentions to me. Because right now, as I was sitting here talking, I felt like my heart sank and it moved around, and my vision became clearer. So this message that I am picking up on is for someone else. And you will see restoration come to you 7 days. So Friday the 13th. The bad luck associated with the date is believed to originate with the Last Supper, when Jesus dined with his 12 disciples the night before his crucifixion on Good Friday. The attendance of 13 at the dinner has also come to be considered a bad omen. Interestingly, the number 13 is also frequently associated with bad luck on its own, as it follows 12, which is typically considered favorable for its association with completeness, according to the History Channel's History.com. So I'm giving you a synopsis about what it means about the Last Supper. Something lets me know that Jesus was a deceptor. And it also let me know, because of even though he was a deceiver, he was two-faced and two-headed. He was one way this way. And as a result, because of the things that he was doing, something lets me know that he was stealing. He was stealing, and as a result, he was used as an example by way of him and his family for not wanting to work and do the things that they should do. This is your Last Supper, and what does that mean? That means we don't want you in none of our establishment. So that's why they had to travel abroad as such, because I done burnt out my bridges over here, now I got to go over here, and then here, and here, and here, and then when it all came into, that's when that synopsis began to make them aware that you were being tracked. See, you'll be very surprised as to the technology that are even in that was 500 years ago, let alone 1,000 years ago. Okay? You know, I just read, I watched a program, could have been about 10, 15 years ago now, where it mentions in ancient Egyptian, they had flashlights. There was the use of batteries and flashlights back then. Not the oil lamps as we see now. That is mockery, is what we're getting at. So everybody was not on the same path. You had futuristic, innovative people even in that time frame. Like even the technology that you see now, which is futuristic, like towards year 3000, if there would be a being or a planet at that time. It worked the same way back then, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Some people were still burning oil lamps while other people was like, what the hell? You know, so who's to say what was uniform? It works the same way here. So it says a broken mirror will lead you to years of bad luck. And I'm gonna give you an explanation as to what that is. What has come to me about what that is. As the saying goes, breaking a mirror will bring 7 years of bad luck. The superstition likely originated in either ancient Greece or during the Roman Empire, when reflected images were thought to have powerful implications, according to the University of South Carolina, which notes that Roman artisans believed their gods could see their souls through the mirrored surfaces of polished metal. According to the university, damaging a mirror was considered disrespectful, with the belief being that to do so would cause the gods to retaliate with bad luck. As for why the misfortune is said to only last 7 years, it stems from the Roman belief that the body renewed itself every 7 years. So this right here in turn is talking about vanity. What do you see when you look in the mirror? You know, there's a such thing as mirror magic or mirror spell, where you constantly going into the mirror looking. When you look in that mirror, you begin to get excited and invigorated, and you begin to become conceited, and you also begin to think outside of reality or what is normal. So in essence, to break up a mirror, in essence, is speaking about appearance, like visual appearance. To break a mirror meaning when the appearance is not favorable. So I'm assuming it's to, you know, to boost up yourself. If you're looking tired or down, put you some makeup on or whatever the case may be. That's my take on what that is. Now let's go to this one here. Beware of a black cat that crosses your path. Now I've heard this before about black cat and you know, being bad luck and things of that sort. So it says, while the unluckiest encounter with a black cat is commonly believed to be if the animal happens to cross your path, many consider all black cats to be associated with bad luck and spooky omens. Now, I do believe that, because I do feel as though cats, like children, are able to pick up on energies from the unseen. The cats are also often associated with the occult, with witches frequently depicted as having black cats as either pets or familiars. I'll explain something to you. I've been feeling for the last couple of days like a cat is rubbing against me. And I don't like cats. I don't. I do not like cats. You know, they say witches like cats. I don't like cats. I don't. According to History.com, the origins of the belief that the animals are linked to sorcery can be traced back to Greek mythology, as the goddess, I want to say that's Hecate, or I don't know how to pronounce it, Hecate, who presided over magic and spells, was often depicted as having a cat. The unlucky characteristics of black-colored cats specifically can be found as early as the 13th century, according to the outlet, which references an official church document called Vox in Rama that was issued by Pope Red IX on 13th June 1233, and which Layla Morganwald, author of Cats, Black Cat's Tale, True Tales and Inspiring Images, says declared black cats an incarnation of Satan. Now, would you say black cats are an incarnation of Satan? Well,